Hello everyone, Shunk here. Next on stage is a story by name Tiddalik the Frog, retold by Morrison. This story is from Australia, where Tiddalik, a giant frog, drank all the water in the world, leaving none for the animals. Desperate to recover their water, the animals made various attempts to make Tiddalik laugh. Let's find out if they succeed in their attempt. Tiddalik was the largest frog in the whole of the Australian outback. He was large and green and very, very thirsty. One afternoon, after a long, dry sleep, Tiddalik woke up with an enormous thirst. "I'm so thirsty, I could laugh at this water hole," he complained. And that is then what he did. He drank and drank till the water hole was dry. After that, Tiddalik was much fatter than before, but he was still thirsty. "But I see a nice full stream," he muttered. So he hopped over to the nice full stream and drank it dry. Next was the lake. When the lake was dry, Tiddalik was still thirsty, but he swelled up so much he could hardly move. "But I'm still thirsty," he thought. So he moved around slowly, drinking and drinking till there was no fresh water left anywhere in the land. By nighttime, Tiddalik was no longer thirsty, but he was so swollen with the water that he couldn't move. He decided to take a nap right where he was in the shade of a large gum tree. The next day, the sun rose on a dry land. There was no water anywhere. The tree and the grasses withered and flopped over. The insects, birds, and other animals searched for water, but there was none to be had. The animals knew they had to do something, other than they'll all die soon of thirst. But they didn't know how they could get the water back. Under the greedy frog, who was sleeping under his tree peacefully. Eventually, a wombat had an idea. "I think we should make Tiddalik laugh," he explained. "That way, his mouth will open wide open, and all the water will flow gushing out, and we'll be able to have some water again." The animals all agreed that was a good plan. The animals crowded around Tiddalik. Kangaroo nudged him with her foot to wake him up. The kookaburra told his best jokes in his loudest voice, and he laughed and laughed until he fell over. Tiddalik didn't even blink. The lizards did a clumsy dance, backwards and forwards. Tiddalik just didn't blink or do anything at all again. The kangaroo did some high hops, backwards jumps, and boxing. Tiddalik didn't even bother to blink again. The emirs fluffed in their feathers, and they pecked madly at each other. The other animals fell about, laughing. Tiddalik looked a little amused, but he didn't even smile. "What shall we do?" the animals cried. They were hot and tired and thirsty, and Tiddalik hadn't spilled a drop of water. Later, in the afternoon, an eel wiggled out of nowhere under his sleeping rock. "Where is the water? It's all gone," he moaned. The eel crawled towards the animals and gathered around Tiddalik, but the sand was hot and he couldn't crawl over it. So he tried to stand up on his end of his tail. The eel struggled to balance on the end of his tail. He wobbled one way, another. He bent himself into all sorts of shapes, trying to avoid the hot ground. Tiddalik stared at the eel. The eel hopped and booped, twisted and jigged, trying to keep his balance as Tiddalik watched the unhappy eel. He started to smile. His smile got bigger and bigger and bigger until he started to giggle. Finally, he laughed out loud, and all his mouth opened wide as Tiddalik laughed and laughed. The water gushed out of his mouth, filling streams and lakes, and the water holes were all over the land. "Thank you, eel," the animal shouted. It was you who made Tiddalik laugh. But the eel didn't even hear them. He was so happy to be swimming around in his lovely, cool, muddy water again. And that's it for this story. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And bye.